welcome to, I guess it's Life Astrologer on YouTube. I'm Anna Isabel, and I'm a psychological astrologer as well as an analytical hypnotherapist. And today I have with me the president of the Astrological Lodge of London. Sometimes it's a bit of a mouthful, that one.
It is.
And his name is Israel Ajose. And I'm really excited because I've never really had a proper look at your chart.
Yeah.
And the very first thing I saw, which I haven't seen very often, is an exact trine between the sun in Libra and your north node in Aquarius.
Yeah.
So to me, that speaks of someone for whom finding his life's purpose has not been that difficult.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I would agree with that. Although I would say, although it wasn't difficult, I did have to go through some kind of, if you want to say, a kind of painful, a bit of a painful experience to wake me up, so to speak. But once then it did come to me quite easy. No doubt about that, yes.
It's just that in my experience as both an astrologer and a therapist, some people know what their purpose is from very early on.
Yeah.
Others discover it and they have no doubt about it.
Right.
And then there's those who really struggle to understand what it's all about.
Yeah.
And I just looked at that exact trine and I thought, you're not one of those. You're
definitely.
And I'm looking at this north node in Aquarius in the 9th house. And I'm speaking to an astrologer.
Yes.
I mean,
you couldn't make it up.
What else would you be doing? I mean, that is just that it's very much it's a really lovely expression. That's the word I want. Expression of your chart. So because I haven't even mentioned that you have this north node conjunct Mars as well.
Yes, Mars is not too far
which is
away,
also
so
fun. And then, if that's not enough, we have a Sun Uranus conjunction.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
That could be a bit troubling.
So you were never going to be somebody who towed the line.
Yeah, definitely not. Yeah, the whole. I am very Uranian, and insofar as that, it can be very spontaneous. It's so erratic, it's unpredictable. There's no, even I surprise myself insofar as not knowing what I'm going to do from one moment to the next. So I'll just literally totally just switch 180 degrees and totally go the other way. So yeah, the Uranus is really, so strong. Yeah.
How do you feel that plays out in your dealings with people? Because it's, on the one hand, it goes very nicely with Libra because you're a Libra, and Libra has a deserved reputation for being diplomatic and being able to go with the flow and bring people together, and all of that. That's easy. That easy socializing stuff goes with Libra. Uranus and Aquarius, although having the intention of connecting with people and being very people oriented, or shall we say group oriented, does not necessarily find it very easy to be diplomatic because of that single-minded vision of the ideal. So on the one hand, we're dealing with two air signs, Uranus being the ruler of Aquarius. So it all seems very harmonious.
Yeah.
Except for the fact that Libra doesn't like to offend, and
Right.
Aquarius might actually delight in doing so.
So yes.
How does that work with you then?
Well, what tends to happen is the diplomacy is there, and the diplomacy works, providing everybody's going along with it. And then the moment I'm somewhat opposed in some way, then the Uranus then kicks in, and then it will totally, strike and want to go totally in the opposite way, and want to do it in a way that is totally different, totally Uranian. No problem in cutting off even. If need be, it will detach. I'm I wouldn't say very good, but I'm known to have definitely I'll just cut it and just end it, for the totally go the opposite way in order to prove my point. But the diplomacy, I feel the Libra is very, very strong. And I am the diplomacy. I will go along with it. I will work with it as much as I can. I will try to be as nice as I can, as fair as I can. It's just at the moment where I feel with Uranus, it's the part where he feels blocked in some kind of way, where there's no sense of freedom to maneuver, or no, then the Uranus, then it starts to crack, and then you totally see the other extreme, and it's almost like, this charming man at one point, and then all of a sudden he's gone, he's gone to the extreme. He's turned into a rebel, and that,
Yeah,
so yeah.
Because that's the thing, isn't it? Because I guess the word that I should have been looking for was compromise.
Yes.
Libra is very adept at compromise.
Yes.
Whereas Uranus and Aquarius, that is, it's a fixed sign, Aquarius.
Yes.
There is no compromise.
Correct. Right. Yeah.
And I think what you talked about there with freedom, the need, that feeling of being trapped, is something that Uranus, if anything, is going to cause revolution.
Right. Yes. Exactly.
It's that feeling of being trapped.
Yeah. And it kind of reminds me of an ex-girlfriend of mine who, there was quite a few times where we would go out, maybe for dinner or something, or we'd be walking around, and she'll say, "Oh, what would you like to do, or what would you like to eat, or something?" And I would say, "Oh, listen, whatever you want. I'm fine. I'm easy. Whatever you want." And what would happen with her is she wanted me to make a decision. She wanted me to say, "Right, we're doing that." And I'm so, all this lovey-dovey stuff and trying to be all diplomatic and say, whatever you want makes me happy. You choose. I'm fine either way. You want Italian, you want Portuguese, you want Greek. I'm fine. Either dish is fine with me. And then she would sort of like get a little bit, frustrated that I'm not making a firm decision. And then that would because then what she's doing is it's almost like she's saying, right, do one thing or be one way. And then the Uranus then would come out. And then I would totally just get one, and I was like, no, that's it now. We're doing this. And and we might not even end up doing neither one of those things that was an option in the first place. And we won't end up doing none of them.
How is that reasonable when she's letting you choose in the first place?
So it's sort of like, look, it's all right, just go along with what you want to do. Whatever makes you happy will make me happy. But the moment she puts me in a position where into a box where I feel fixed and I feel like, then the Uranus will totally take over and say, no more compromise, no more nothing. It's this. And as a matter of fact, we're going totally against or doing something totally different than the options that were originally there in the first place.
You're making me feel sympathy for her. So that's quite interesting in a sense, because you also have the moon in Taurus, which is another fixed sign.
Yes.
So you would expect that you would have a sense of what you wanted, but then what you wanted was for her to please herself.
Yes, and yes, I do. There is a sense of what I want, and but essentially, I just want, especially if it comes down to maybe food or going out, I just want good food. I don't care what food it is, providing it's good food, it's tasty food. That's what I want. So picking whichever, whether it's Italian, Greek, Indian, restaurant, African, it's fine with me. Is the food good? That's my number one concern. Is it good? Is it of quality? Is it tasty? And that's my thing. I'm not bothered as to which restaurant it particularly is. I'm just after good food. I'm after good quality food. So in that sense, yes, I do know what I want, but there is also an aspect of me that kind of it bounces off the other. If the other people are happy, I'm happy as well. I like to make other people happy and for them to feel.
And that's the Libra as well. And
yes, yeah,
just seeing other people happy,
yes, yeah,
happy. So what you're saying is these are the parameters which I'm setting.
yeah,
and within those parameters, it's all good.
yeah. Exactly. Don't disturb the parameters, or the Uranus comes out.
that's fine. So what I think could be a mitigator in this is this Saturn trine, which is it's reasonably wide, but it's also reasonably tight enough to be felt, and it's a trine to Mercury particularly, and the Sun. I guess
about 6 degrees.
Well.
About 6 degrees, is it? Maybe about
degrees.
6, 7?
It's a 6-degree orb between the Sun and Saturn. So it's not as tight as the ones that we've been talking about, but it's tight enough, certainly. And so I'm just wondering whether that provides you with a sense of structure in terms of, I guess what I'm thinking is there's a real juxtaposition here, because Saturn is very structured. Now I think Venus in Libra will be fine with a trine from Saturn. That's comfortable. I think that's fine. Although of course Venus isn't involved in this trine. It's just that I'm thinking about Libra. So I think that would give you a real sense of being able to play by the rules, if you like.
Yes.
And what do you think? What do you?
No, definitely. That is something that has always been a potent in my life, whether it's coming from outside, whether it's from father in particular, again, the Sun, I suppose, that need for being, disciplined and structured, and the sense of responsibility has always been there. And I do have that. It does come out in various areas. There's just certain things in life where I am just so on it, so disciplined, so structured, so responsible, there's no faults. But then there are aspects, and I think that's what I've always seen, that as the push-pull between the Uranus and the Saturn. So there's the times where the Saturn comes in, and I'm really good at really being organized and quite structured and having that sense of responsibility. And then sometimes the Uranus will kick in, and it's almost like Uranus is saying, well, sod all that. Who are you anyway? What are these rules and boundaries and laws? And wants to, totally shift. And sometimes I'll have, total disregard, or even on some level, some disrespect even, towards the authority or the law, depending on where it's coming from. I am selective about it. But generally, I do have, and as I've got older, and I suppose that's also the Saturn, especially since my Saturn return, I've grown and developed more of a greater sense of authority and boundaries and discipline in my life.
The fact that it's in the 12th house, I think, is interesting as well, particularly because you have quite a stellium in your 5th as well.
Yes.
And so I'm wondering about creativity, and I'm wondering whether that link to the 12th house means that you don't even think about creativity. It just happens.
Yeah.
Because it comes from something very deep within your subconscious.
Yeah. Yeah. I would totally agree with that. Yes. Yeah. It comes from, it's an abstract place. Maybe one could use the word maybe spiritual, or you know, but definitely unconscious is definitely, I would definitely be a word that I use, where it just comes out of nowhere. It seems to come out of nowhere. It's not something that I necessarily trained for or studied or practiced in any kind of way, but there's a huge sense of creativity that comes through.
It's inspirational. It's you know, as in it's coming from, it feels like it's coming from the outside because you have no idea where it came from. It just
yes.
Exactly. What do you do then for creativity? How does that come through?
Well, I do through my writing. I suppose a fair bit of creativity comes. I have well, some people have suggested that maybe I should do things like poetry, or maybe go into things like film, or you know, theatre, or things of that nature. I have actually done a little bit of it. I did do a little bit as a teenager. So you know, a few of it came out through there. I used to be a sports person, so I was very much involved with sports. So a lot of my creativity also came out in you know, in that particular arena. I'm planning to do try to maybe be a bit more kind of artistic. I love art. I love the idea of painting, drawing. I love these things, and it's not. I remember as a child, I was actually quite good. I remember teachers always in the class saying, "Oh, that's a brilliant picture." You know, I'd paint a picture. I mean, there were simple pictures, maybe a tree, a house, or something like that. People, cars, you know, that kind of thing. But the teachers were quite impressed. But then I sort of like just went off with it. It's like I stopped doing it for some reason. I had no. But as I got older, I've you know, really appreciated this art. So I've wanted to like more get into that now, and see if a sense of creativity comes through that. Yeah.
Good, because that's what I had in mind for you.
Yeah.
See, I can see you develop, just Libra is an aesthetic sign, you know, it's very visual in the way that beauty is hugely important. And you've just talked about how important art is to you.
Yeah.
So there's the eye for beauty, but it's in that fifth house. So it's, you know, the desire to create must be there at some point.
Yeah, most definitely.
But because of that link to this, to the 12th, I do wonder whether there's scope for you to end up doing some very spiritual paintings.
Right. Yeah.
You know, stuff right out of the imagination, but that conveys some sort of spiritual concept.
Yeah.
And I would say that if you had mediumistic, tendencies, that, you know, there's psychic artists, and I could see you going in that direction at some point if you were to explore it.
Yeah, well, there's two things there. One thing that I have been contemplating on for quite some time is actually designing a pack of tarot cards.
Ah, okay, that's a link.
You know, so through the you know, imagery and the symbolism and things of that nature, I would like to work, you know, on that. The second thing, you mentioned mediumship there. The thing is with I have seen definitely potential and elements of mediumship, but the thing is with me is it doesn't, I can't switch it on or switch it off at will. It kind of just comes. It's very random, and sometimes I've always thought, oh, I don't know, is that maybe the Saturn Neptune, or is it the Uranus coming in? Because it's sort of like just I could just be lying down at night in the middle of the night or something, 2 a.m., or I wake up and it's like, boom, it's there. And then it's gone again. Or just in the middle of the day, I'm just walking down the road and and then boom, it comes and then it's gone again. And it's like, it's not there. I want it to be there. And then there's sometimes when I'm sitting down, pen to paper, okay, something, anything, nothing.
I think what that is about being in being in the right, literally having the right brain waves operating.
Right.
And very often it's that phase between sleep and awake,
Right.
where you've got the proper mental activity, or the brain waves are in that right space for connection.
Right.
So I would say perhaps when you're ready, if you wanted to make this more regular, it takes practice to actually be able to attain that state.
Right. Okay.
But
Makes
so
sense.
you would need to maybe explore that in some classes with a teacher,
Right.
and then you will be able to switch it on when you'd like to, because you know how to get yourself into that, I suppose we could say, mind space to allow it to happen. So I think it's there, and I could see you becoming almost like a psychic artist. So, but then you talked about writing, and if you open that up, you could also allow the muse in
through the right,
it could be almost like a collaborative effort where it's automatic writing that you're looking at.
Right.
So I think that you have years of fun ahead of you exploring when you're ready. Yeah, I think so. And I think it fits in with your 9th house as well.
Right. Yeah.
So now, as we've already touched on, Aquarius is about groups, and you find yourself as the president of none other than London, which is the place to be, really.
Yeah.
For wanting to learn about astrology. So tell us a little bit about the lodge as it stands, and do you have a vision for the future?
Yes. Well, the Astrological Lodge, was set up, founded by Alan Leo in 1915, and ever since it was set up, they have weekly lectures every Monday evening. We have 2 lectures every Monday. Sometimes there will be a double bill. It doesn't happen much, but we do have a double bill sometimes. But other than that, we do have 2 lectures, and we invite speakers from wherever we can to come and speak on different topics, different subjects, different aspects of astrology. Each speaker is different. They will have their niche, or they'll have their speciality, and we ask them to present us with a talk for a period of an hour. We also have questions and answers also as well to the audience. A lot has changed, obviously, in the last year. Due to the pandemic of the coronavirus. And as we know, a lot of organizations and people have now gone online. So we've gone online. We started online last year, September, and we are continuing to be online. It does seem like this is going to be the way forward. However, we still will be having physical lectures as well, maybe once a month. But the online will definitely continue. Because what the online has actually done, it's enabled us to connect with speakers and other astrologers from around the world. So it's almost like we've got more variety of speakers. But also as well, we've also got more members coming in from around the world who are interested in also joining the lodge also as well, because now they can attend the weekly lectures and meetings. I think the only difference obviously will be the time difference depending on where somebody is based. So we've now moved online now. My aim essentially is to grow the Astrolodge, to make it as more accessible, readily accessible as possible for everybody all around the world. I would like to also do more activities. So perhaps maybe we could have like a games week, an astrological games week or something like that, or a astrological quiz night. We can have different sort of like niches. For example, we've got something on September the 4th, something called Crime and Coffee. And it's, we've got 4 astrologers, Jill Doran, we've got Wanda Seller, we've got Lucian and Santiago, who are going to be speaking about crime and how different aspects of crime or particular crimes that we know of, popular crimes that were committed, and looking at perhaps maybe the chart of the person who committed the crime, or the crime of the situation, and looking at it from an astrological perspective. So little things like that are the things that I'm looking to definitely do, to also bring in more workshops, maybe a workshop maybe every month or every couple of months, to also bring that in also as well, and it can allow people from all over the world to participate and attend. So that's what my main aim is, to grow the Astro Lodge as much as possible and make it more accessible.
So what you're doing is you're building on the program that existed,
yes,
and bringing in other activities, and
yes,
which actually are really very good fun as well. It is good fun to be looking at. I mean, I've done that with students in the past, where we're looking at the charts of terrorists and criminals,
right,
criminals, and seeing what the common links are. And clearly, those common links don't necessarily turn everybody.
You're right, exactly.
A criminal or a terrorist. So what was it that what was the thing that triggered this bit, and
right,
what
yes,
doesn't everybody? So it's really, it's always a sense of tremendous interest. And what I love as well is the variety of lectures that you have at the lodge. I looked at, and I love that you're online as well. And do you have a way of people looking at older lectures? Is there something that people can do?
Not. We've actually updated our new website, and before that was the case, but on the new website, for whatever reason, it's not the case. However, there is a way where you can, it's got a calendar bit. When you go on our program, there's a bit where it says the calendar at the top, and you can actually go to the top and select a date from the past, and it will bring up a past lecture. But it may only go back so far. Maybe it may go back maybe to like end of last year or something of that nature. So, but whereas our website before had stuff from maybe even 2-3 years ago, but that I think maybe because of space, that got taken off. So they've started it again, so people can look back at some of the past lectures that we've done, but it only goes so far. I think only until like last year, or maybe beginning of this year.
You must have a wealth of an archive.
Oh, and yes.
And I would say that you need to do something with that archive.
Yes, definitely.
Definitely. Of lectures that that got recorded as well.
Yeah, well, that was the thing that we have discussed on our committee meetings. But what it is it can open a little bit of a can of worms, insofar as that there may be some speakers who may not want their lecture to be, whether it's to be sold or whether it's to be played or whatever the case, because there are some lecturers, some speakers who they're still working on their material sometimes. So it's sort of like an unfinished, so they may not necessarily want it out there because they may see it like it's not a finished product as yet. So there is that. I'm sure probably in majority of cases, most speakers will probably say, yeah, that's fine, go ahead. It's just about maybe just getting permission, really, and once we have the permission, we can upload them.
Really trying to bring them with you.
Yeah.
Irrespective.
Yes,
you
definitely.
Have a wonderful resource, which is there, and it'd be interesting to see what you choose to do with it.
Yeah. And now we're online. What's been happening since last year, all of our lectures, we've now got a YouTube channel, so we can upload them on the YouTube channel. So for those people who did attend, they can access it. And if people wants to be able to make a payment for a past lecture, they can make a payment, and we can give them the link, and they can watch it also as well. So
Perfect. So I think this is a good point to ask you to please give us the website for the
Astrological Lodge. Most definitely. So the website is www.astrolodge.co.uk. So that's www.astrolodge.co.uk. And once you go on the website, or it's got the different for the program. We also run a beginners class every week as well, from 5:30 to 6:30. At the moment, the beginners class is a Vedic one. So for anybody who's interested in Vedic astrology, they are more than welcome to attend. And as from September of this year, hopefully, we may even be doing 2 beginners classes on Monday. So there's going to be a Vedic one for those people interested in Vedic astrology. And there's also going to be a Western one also for those people who are interested. And it's a basic class. It's just for beginners. It's just, it gives them, there's stuff that they can get out of it, of course. It's very, full of information. We've got wonderful teachers and speakers who take the classes, and it's for beginners. And again, it lets them know all about the basics about astrology, sun, moon, Mercury, all the basic building blocks that one needs to know, and they can take that and use it to take it further.
Well, given that I have a very soft spot for the Astrological Lodge of London, it's an absolute delight to be able to share all of that information with people and to have you talk to us today. And so I want to say thank you very, very much.
Thank you very much for having me. A wonderful pleasure.